The prep for those moments is when your kid gets birthday money and then you're at a store and they're like, oh, can I get this? Yeah, you have to spend your own money. And then they're like, wait, do I really want it though?
Yeah.
Raising a well-behaved child in this world requires strict discipline and punishment. Today, we will look...
No, we will not. Welcome to Childproof from Pleasant Phantom Productions. I'm Gwen Lathland.
And I'm Tori Phantom. And today we're going to be doing... I'm going to do it myself.
All right. Independence. We love to see it. Intro the podcast then.
And today we're going to be doing an episode on independence. Not the Declaration, though. But we're going to be talking about having it, learning it, and teaching it to our kids.
But first, even independence has boundaries, and on Childproof, our boundary is timer-shaped. Start the timer.
Just like we started the timer, as we've mentioned, school has started for us.
School has started. School has started, and I got super lucky. Do you know about the first lasts and the last firsts?
I do, but go ahead and explain it, because I like the way you explain things.
So there is a constant meme that floats around that at some point you picked your child up for the last time, you put them back down, and you didn't know that was the last time you would ever carry your child.
I saw that meme when my eldest was little. And so I made it a point to just every now and then, I just tell my kid, I'm like, I'm going to pick you up now. And I literally just the smallest lift because we're both really bony. It's not a pleasant experience. But I'm like, no, I'm not having this. I'm going to be picking you up. And my kid thinks it's hilarious. So they go along with it. But nope, I will not be having that. I will continue picking them up.
Yeah, I will. At least when I get to the point that it was the last time that I ever picked you up, I was aware that this was the last time I ever picked you up because my strength has waned or my body is beginning to age to the point that it can't pick a full grown human up anymore. Like, no. When I pick you up for the last time, I will be fully aware and appreciate every moment of picking you up for the last time. I will not lose this. No, but this time I did get like one of those known, I'm aware that this is it. Yeah. Because my daughter started her senior year of high school.
That's a big last first.
It's a big last first. So it was her last first day of school. And more importantly, I think personally for me, it was the last time that I'll have a picture of all three of my kids on their first day of school together. 4 years of that so far.
You're not even like a super like sentimental, emotional, weepy mom. And I was feeling that on our first day because my eldest, it was their last first day of middle school. And I was like, keep it together. Keep it together. It was just the last first day of elementary school yesterday.
Yeah. Well, and there's so many times that we do hit those last firsts and we can subjugate them. But then there's the bigger ones. Where I get really stuck is I don't remember a lot of my kids' firsts.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I sort of remember them. Obviously, I remember my oldest kid's first word. It was juice.
Yeah.
I don't remember what my other two kids' first words were.
No, I feel that. It's like one of those things where when it's happening, you're so excited and you're like, I'm always going to remember this. And then fast forward and someone asks about it and you're like, nope, I don't know. But do you know what I do like?
You go to the pediatrician. How long have they been walking?
A while.
Well, they're walking right now. Like, you can see them walking right now.
They walked in the room. No, that's one of those things where I've realized that while I don't remember exactly what the first word was or the time that they rolled over for the first time, I remember how I felt. I remember the moment and that excitement and that pride. And I don't remember the first words. It's gone.
I remember what my oldest first word was, and it's juice. The other two, they had first words. I want to say please and dog were involved. They were early words. Both of them got please and dog very early. but I don't remember what their first words were. And for a little bit that started to eat at me. I'm like, how, like,
Yeah.
oh, I've done the thing where I remembered all the stuff from the first one and then the subsequent ones just get, it's like when you're the youngest child, do you have
Yeah.
a photo book? No, you do not. Your parents were friggin' busy. You
Right,
don't have a photo
right.
book. I'm sorry.
But no, it used to eat at me too. And then I realized because you know me, I ruminate as a hobby. And I was thinking about this once because I was feeling bad about it. Like, I should have remembered these things. And then I realized, no, I remember the things that were more important to me. Like, one of my favorite memories from when my eldest was a newly walking baby. So we're talking, 12 to 14 months. I don't even remember how old they were exactly. But I followed that child around our apartment complex yard, and I followed my child following a toad for an hour and a half. And they were so amazed by this toad and just watching their wonder, like, no, I don't remember when they rolled over, but I remember following that toad with them. And I think that checks out. They really like frogs and toads now. So
Yeah. I don't remember my son's first word, but I remember the first time he made toast. And I remember if I had the artistic skill, if my hand connected to my brain the way an artist's hand connects to their brain, I could perfectly recapture his expression when he turned around because he made toast all by himself. No, a grown-up didn't even touch the toaster, y'all. He made toast. This was like 3 years ago. I could perfectly recapture that exact facial expression. The little twinkle in his eyes, the little furrow between he was so proud of himself.
I was just talking to a longtime friend of mine, and both of us realized that every time we see the moon during the day, we think of the moment that my eldest child, for the first time, saw the moon during the day. Because I used to strap that kid on my back in my ergo carrier. We'd go on walks, okay? Everywhere we'd walk. And so my kid is on my back. I got two friends with me. We're going on a walk. And my kid notices the moon and it's daylight and just starts, the moon, it's the moon, the moon. And it was like this wonderment. And so every time, I guess my friend still to this day as well, when we see that in our heads, we're going, the moon.
We still call every time we see a fire truck or an ambulance go by, my oldest automatically goes, fire truck. And I go, ambulance. And she goes, fire truck. She can say fire truck just fine.
Yeah.
She's a grown adult. She can say the word fire truck. But when she and I are together, because of a very specific memory when she was 3, which I'm pretty sure is a planted memory for her, I don't think she actually remembers this incident. She just knows that I have told her the story of this incident, but she saw an ambulance drive by and she goes, Mama, fire truck. I was like, actually, that's an ambulance. And then we got into an entire argument. No, this is what a fire truck is, and this is what an ambulance is. And she goes, no, I know fire trucks. I made a video about this once.
Yeah.
That's how ingrained it is. And to this day, she is 18 years old. She'll be graduating high school in a mere 9 months. And if we see an emergency service vehicle drive by, it's fire truck, ambulance, fire truck.
And I think when we are looking at our kids as where they're at, and those last first, I think what makes them so sentimental and such a big deal is the nostalgia, because we look at that and then we're remembering these moments and we're like, wow. And it's you just telling that anecdote, that little story. It's like, I loved and also sometimes was incredibly frustrated with the arguments you would get in with the toddler.
It's the most inane things.
Yes.
And at some point you pull back and go, I'm a grown adult. I don't actually have to. I know I'm right. Life experience is on my, I know I'm right.
Yeah.
I don't need to engage in an argument with a 2-year-old.
Right.
But here I am.
Right. And it's one of those things when we're talking about there are things that we realize are the last first and the first last. And then you telling me this story, I realize I don't even remember the last time. It's one of those things. It phases out slowly, the arguments with a toddler. And then, now you're having different arguments with a different aged kid, and they're a different level of fun and frustrating.
You start doing other things. So for my daughter's 18th birthday, I bought her a blanket, and I found a blanket that they would weave in this letter into, like, they're not like printing it on, like it's woven in. It's a custom made. It's still machine knitted, but it's custom designed, right?
Right.
And they'll put this letter on it. So I put this letter that I was like, "Dear kid, you're beautiful, you're smart, you're kind, you're intelligent, you're smart." All of these compliments, all of these truths about who she is on the inside. And then I wrote, "Anytime you feel like you're forgetting any of these truths, wrap yourself up in this blanket to remind you." And she hasn't gotten it yet because we haven't done the birthday
Yeah.
yet. We're saving it because it's 18. It was big. We had to make sure all of the people that she wanted there were there. And then because all of her friends are her friends and all of her family is our family, we had to wait for all the schedules to align. So I can confidently describe this on the podcast because my daughter will not listen to it.
Your child doesn't listen to your podcast? That's so...
No. No.
Mine neither. But that is incredibly sentimental, though. Like, I know you. We have been besties for 5 years. You're not a super sentimental person. So why now is the 18 hitting you? Like,
no, I expect that it will. I'm not a stone. I expect to sob like an infant at graduation. I'm sure there are going to be things that sort of sneak up this year because it's a big year in multiple. We've gone full adult. We can register to vote. We can, we're graduating high school. We're really looking at independence. She's got what I feel like, and this is from my 40-year-old perspective. She's got a really solid, realistic, variable plan for what to do after she graduates. Like she's left in I don't know. She's left in all that space for I don't know and still has a pretty solid, we'll go here until we get to this point. And then depending on what happens.
But gentle parenting doesn't work. There's no way your kid could have a good head on her shoulders as a gentle parent. Okay. Sorry. Continue.
But my child is incredibly sentimental. So that's got to be like a nature versus nurture thing. Definitely in nature because I am not a sentimental person.
Right.
I don't attach a whole lot of meaning, especially to physical items. And my memories are special enough all by themselves. I never or almost never feel the need to commemorate this with like some item. There's probably like some temporariness of losing all of my things routinely because my parents would just take them away as punishment. And so I assigned it temporary.
Trauma dump.
There's probably some childhood trauma back there preventing me from having any bit of sentimentality to most things.
Abandonment issues, I don't know.
But my daughter is very sentimental. And so she's got things that are important to her. She had, when the littles were born, and she was allowed into the room because of the circumstances of the twins and the hospital we were at, in order for her to be allowed into the room as often as she was, because she was elevated above visitor status. She actually had to be checked in with the hospital as basically similar to my husband, who was technically a patient of the hospital, so he could have access to his own children, even though nothing medically had happened to him other than 9 months ago.
Right. It's like when you have...
I broke Tori. Anyway.
That happened to him.
So she got a hospital bracelet so she could come see her brand new siblings. She still has that hospital bracelet, which to me was like, that's an odd thing for a person of your age I still have my hospital bracelets, but like I also gave birth to those children. Like, but she kept her hospital bracelet. She has it in a little book. And I was like, oh, okay. You're way more sentimental than I am. Cool.
It's so sweet.
But the other thing that's happening is as she is looking around at all of the dumpster fires erupting around us, as she is looking at, I am so excited to move out and live my own independent life. And how much is rent for a 1-bedroom? Why?
Yeah.
Like as she's starting to look at becoming an adult, because gentle parenting doesn't work and we haven't had discussions about some of the hard things that just have to be hard. There's no other way to do them but the hard way until you have done it the hard way. And then you can learn the easy way. But unfortunately, This isn't a
no
trauma
amount
cycle.
of advice
this is just a learning curve.
Yeah, no amount of advice makes that transition easy. At least I don't assume. I never got any advice.
But she's looking around and she's kind of like, oh, it's a lot. I'm like, yeah, it's a lot. And you need to be independent. You have to be independent, but that doesn't mean you have to be alone.
That is so important. That is so important, especially for you and I and everyone else who this applies to.
Trauma dump.
It is, I think, when you have to figure out independence instead of having it taught to you, it feels like independence means you have to do it with the do-it-yourself energy of a toddler. Like you can't ask for help. You have to kind of isolate yourself with your issues because you have to take care of them alone. That's what independent is. And to get to that point of, wait, I can be independent because I know what my limits are. I know where I need help.
I figured out that I used to think that I am a smart person. I am an intelligent person, but I was not a wise person. And my husband pointed out, he goes, no. Two things have to be true. No wise person finds themselves wise. And second, wisdom is not in knowing what you know. Wisdom is being comfortable in knowing what you don't.
Yes.
And that's something that as soon as we figured that out, and we figured that out together probably like a decade ago, wisdom is not knowing stuff. Wisdom is being comfortable with admitting and accepting what you don't know. And sometimes that means learning the thing that you don't know. Sometimes that's, no, I can't, I cannot give you advice. You who has just told me you've had a heart attack, because I don't have that expertise. And you have people that have that expertise. So I'm not going to offer you up this essential oil for your broken heart.
Yes. That's the thing
that's wisdom. And just sometimes wisdom is just not saying anything at all.
Right. I have frequently had this conversation with my kids, is to be aware when something is above your pay grade. Yeah. And what I mean by that, especially with the kids, is in talking with their peers and in the way that they navigate their friendships. You are still a good friend if you do not have a way to help your friend directly. Sometimes when we recognize my friend is in a pickle, the answer is not, I should take this on as my responsibility. The answer is, there are people who will know how to help, and I should reach out to my trusted adult, or the way that I could be supportive, the way that I could be the good friend is to offer to be there with my friend while they go to the trusted adult, because we can't fix everything for everyone.
Sometimes the best thing we can do is just give our friends space and just sort of hover around the edges, looking for, oh, here, you drop this. Oh, yeah. You want to talk? Okay, cool. Yeah, we can talk. I was waiting for you to be ready.
Yeah.
Sometimes the wisest thing we can do is just wait for them to be ready. And that's hard. Yeah. Oh my God.
It can be.
But for my oldest, I chose to sort of lean into the sentimentality because I need her to know. I need her to not do the same thing. As parents, we always want better for our children than we had. And when I entered adulthood, my mom did the best she could with the tools that she had. I will always give her at least that much. But I entered adulthood with some kind of messed up views of what adulthood was. I thought asking for help, you're supposed to ask for help when you're a kid. But when you're an adult, there's no asking for help. That's a kid thing to do. You can't ask, what do you mean you need assistance? That's you. I also grew up in Oklahoma, where the welfare Betty stories ran rampant, but it was called state assistance. These people are abusing state assistance. And it was an entire mess of jargon and propaganda and lies. And it was. But at 18, as this rhetoric is floating around me, I'm thinking, oh, well, anyone who needs assistance is clearly subpar, which is not true.
Which is not true. But you believed the propaganda until you got to a point to unpack it. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And so we did an episode on Bibliophage where I discussed when I got to be about 18, 19 years old, I loved reading, but I falsely thought, oh, well, I can't read kid books anymore. I have to read adult books. So I'm looking at tomes of Tolstoy and Russian names and Dante's Inferno, and they're just, to me, to this day, if you love them, no critique, but to
They're
me,
just
to
not
this
books
day,
you would ever read.
they're boring to me.
Yeah.
But I thought because I was an adult, I have to do this boring stuff. I can't have help. I can't have assistance. I can't ask questions. I can't read things that are interesting because that's too babyish and no one's going to take me seriously as an adult. And I struggled. It was not.
Isn't it wild? Like, I feel like that is a canon event of early adulthood is to put these unrealistic expectations on yourself to like prove yourself as an adult. Whereas it like adults, like once you get to not being a baby adult, I feel like there's your own growing curve once you get out. You're like, oh no, I'm just going to enjoy what I like because it's my life and I get to do that. But it's part of like being in your 20s is so hard.
It's
being
hard.
in your 20s is so hard. And that was for me, my thing. That's very similar. When I was a kid, I would look at my mom and all of her friends, and I would see how all of these adult women were dressing, and I would be freaking concerned. Like, at what point will I want to wear a blouse? Why don't I want to dress like a girl, dress like a woman? Why don't I want that? Is something wrong with me? Like, how do I figure this out? Is it when I get older, I'm going to suddenly want to go buy a blouse?
Like a switch just flips
like,
or
I
something?
was so concerned with this. Turns out I've still never bought a blouse.
Well, turns out that women enjoy dressing like women, and when you're not a woman,
Yeah. And some women
maybe
don't.
that's not as appealing.
Yeah. Some women don't, and some men do. Like,
Some
it
men
just
do.
turns out that clothing is just clothing.
Clothing doesn't actually have gender. Oh, okay.
Okay, we've come full circle.
And books are for all ages. Okay. Oh, and makeup too. Oh, and you can do whatever you want with your hair and
Yeah.
screw it, paint the wall blue because you want
Turns out that you have independence to have that autonomy and to make decisions about yourself. And I don't think our generation was taught that as much.
No, we weren't. And so we learned the hard way. But as a parent who's big into breaking cycles and undoing generational trauma, that's one of the things that I've been super focused on is, you have to be independent, but that doesn't mean you have to do it all alone. And because I know this is coming, I have been very slowly giving her more independence. And we've talked about this on a good jabillion episodes. I've let her fail safely. I've also absolutely 100% start to finish engineered events that she cannot fail at, but will feel like she's being independent. She cannot, there's no way she can do this wrong, even if it takes us a couple tries. We will get this right. And congrats, you just did an independent thing. Yay!
Yay! Now we have more confidence in our abilities to do things. Hooray!
Things like, since the time that she could write, that she could independently spell out the numbers, anytime I had to pay for something for her school, for a field trip or a t-shirt or a yearbook or a picture packet, I would write a check. I have checks for 2 reasons. The first is the city municipal water, because it is 1984 inside the city hall and we don't have online payments.
Love that.
The second is for school related payments.
Yeah.
Because most of the time it is easier just to,
Because the schools also haven't been updated since 1984. Yeah.
Correct. But every time she has had to write out that check, it was my money, it was my checkbook, but it was her handwriting and my signature. But she would have to fill out the whole check. And you know what she knows how to do? She knows how to write a check.
I was literally just thinking about teaching my kids how to write checks, like literally last week, because it is one of those things that you very rarely need in today's world.
It's a dying thing. It's a fading necessity. But
for
as
the
long
moment, as there is use for them, and you might run into a place where your utilities can only be paid by check or cash, it's a good thing to know how to do.
I watched a Gen Z in a legitimate panic because no one showed her how to do this. She didn't know how to get a stamp. And she documented this video on social media. She didn't know how to get a stamp. I watched that. I felt for her. And I immediately went, Abby, get in the car. Why? We're buying stamps. Why? I just need to know that you know how to do this.
Yeah.
And she was like, don't you just go to the post office and you say, hey, can I buy some
Yeah,
stamps?
I need
and
to
they tell
see it
you
though.
how many you can.
Prove it.
Yeah, no, we're going to do it. We're going to do it just to be sure. You've got it in concept, but I want it in practice. Come on.
Yeah.
Theoretical versus application. We're doing the application part.
I do think that it's these steps we take towards independence. And I think about these things a lot. And it is both metaphorical and literally in the same steps, because when we have babies, we are carrying them. We're doing it all for them. And then they start to walk and we're holding their hand. Maybe we're still carrying them sometimes, but eventually we're just holding their hand. And eventually we get to let go of their hand. Now we're standing next to them. And as we continue, we are going to encourage them to take a few steps ahead of us until they could just go out on their own. And it's a lot. It makes you feel kind of sentimental, makes you feel kind of nostalgic, but you go from, oh, you're having an issue at school, let me talk to your teacher, to, oh, you need to talk to your teacher. Here are your options. I will not do it for you. I am here if you want me to read over or proofread an email for you. If you need help on learning how to write a good email, I can help you with that. But you need to be able to do this. And yeah, you get to feel uncomfortable because it is uncomfortable talking to a teacher, but also it can be uncomfortable having to send an email to your boss.
Yep.
And so this is a thing we have to be able to do.
Well, and there are so many ways that you can sort of prime that independence. And when you start doing this is completely dependent on so many things. Who your kid is, the relationship you have with them. Are they an anxious kiddo? Are they a feely feels kiddo? Are they, socially motivated or socially demotivated? Like there's so many factors. And then are you living in Brooklyn or Noble? Like those are different considerations you have when practicing independence.
Right.
But things like taking your kids to go buy stamps, letting them pump the gas. And I know the signs are all over the thing. Don't let the minors. Okay. I'm not saying you sit in the car and make them figure it out. I'm saying just let them put their hands on the thing.
Those are things that kids find exciting. My middleest loves getting out of the car and standing there with me while I pump the gas. She tried to hold the lever once. She couldn't do it. It's a hard lever. There's a reason for that. But
Correct.
she will do the hand over my hand because she thinks it's fun to pump gas.
Yes.
Yeah.
The day my daughter turned 16 was the day she could have a non-minors checking account as long as I authorized and it stayed connected to my account. Those are the rules of my bank.
Yeah.
But she turned 16 and I have not paid out of my account any single thing that she has needed other than things that are grouped together like for family purchases. Like she gets the food. She doesn't buy her own groceries because I buy groceries for the family. Mm-hmm. But when she buy clothes, I give her a clothing allowance and I transfer it to her account.
Yeah.
So she gets to spend X dollars on clothes, but I'm not helping that at all.
And I feel like the prep for those moments is when your kid gets birthday money and then you're at a store and they're like, oh, can I get this? Yeah, you have to spend your own money. And then they're like, wait, do I really want it though?
Yes.
It's that moment of like, yeah, it's different when it's your money, huh?
But I want her to see those. I've got $200 in clothes money and these are $150 shoes. Okay, cool. Spend it.
Yeah.
Go ahead. Watch that bank account tick down. Oh, you still need jeans and underwear, huh? Yeah, you can't buy those $150 shoes because that hurts too much, huh?
Yep.
Yeah. Let's go take the shoes back. And I did not let her buy the shoes, by the way. I made her walk through that mental exercise for her.
Right. Now, sometimes you have to. You have to. That's I have a new thing that I do in my house when there is a moment where I'm like, I have to give you a little mini lecture here. Not like a full, yelling lecture, like literally like this is a learning moment. And I have to go through this.
I literally yell out, okay, listen, teachable moment. Brace yourself.
I have one better for you. Okay. What I have started calling these moments. Oh, you've just unlocked an unskippable cutscene. And it happened the other day, and my teenager goes, Alt tab. So you can't Alt tab this one. This is unskippable, my dude. So, make lectures fun.
Yeah, but there are plenty of ways that you can sort of introduce this. There are also times that I have completely engineered where I'm going to pretend like I'm giving you the independence, but if you answer wrong, I'm gonna fix it. My daughter had fallen and she'd hurt her shoulder, and she needed some version of medical attention. I was like, okay, so you are 17 years old. You've got a wonky shoulder. It is not a critical, we're on the way to the emergency room right now, because that is clearly not the way an arm is supposed to look. It's just, this is injured. It needs medical attention. Do you go to the ER by your, just without the ambulance?
Right.
Do you go to the ER? Do you go to urgent care? Or do you call our doctor? Which my daughter is required to make all of her own doctor's appointments with me sitting right there, like staring at her, like while she makes the call. But I don't make it for her because I don't want her to be stuck in my mom's always made my doctor's appointments, because that was a massive, I didn't go to the doctor for 2 years because I was too scared to call the receptionist.
I had to speed run my anxiety about calling doctors when I had a medically complex kid. I was like, this is my job now.
This is not the pathway I would recommend for most. But she's had to call. She gets sports physicals, and then just when she's got a cold, and we're like, yeah, it's time for some antibiotics. I don't think this is a cold anymore. I think this is a bacterial infection. It's time to call. She has to make those calls, and then I'm still with her at the doctor's appointments. Independence does not mean alone.
Yes,
and that's the whole thing I've been trying to do. But she'd hurt her shoulder, and I was like, all right, do you go to the ER, to the urgent care, or to the doctor? Now, I knew what she had done. She had described to me. I recognized the injury. She dislocated and relocated her shoulder in a fall. That's an urgent care trip. Yeah. We need to make sure that nothing is hemorrhaged or ruptured, but that's
we need an x-ray.
Yeah, but we don't need to be tapping emergency services. This isn't like mission critical. You still have a little bit of range of
It's not fully dislocated and just hanging there.
It popped itself back in, so we're okay. But we do need to make sure that it is all the way in correctly, and so we don't want to wait for our GP.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So urgent care was she goes, but she rationalized all that out. She goes, I know it's hurt, but it's not so bad that I can't function or think around it. But I want to make sure that it's proper. So urgent. Yes. But if she'd said GP, I'd been like, yeah, no, that's a good thought. But no, we need to go to the urgent care.
Right. That's a learning moment of explaining why, right? Because sometimes that might be a first time where a kid has to go, which doctor do I go to right now? So it's like, I always like to do that too, where it's, I want you to tell me what you think and I will help you course correct. Because if I understand, because if you explain it to me, I can understand how you got to that conclusion, which will help me to help you better if I know your thought process. And I think it's everything that we're talking about. You can look at the kind of the journey from when they are being carried into their newborn doctor's appointments to this point, because there comes a point for our listeners who do not have kids that are in that kind of preteen mode or aging up to that. Again, it's kid dependent. When you bring your kid to their yearly wellness visit and the doctor asks how it's going, or if they're sick or something, and you bring them in and the doctor asks how it's going, and you have to look at your kid and you say, well, I can't tell them how you feel.
Yeah.
And I'm right here with you, kid. If you need help describing a symptom, because that could be tricky, I can help you with that. But you are capable of telling the doctor how you feel, and you should.
My daughter had her very first all by herself doctor's appointment. It was just the general checkup just for the beginning of the school year. But since her birthday had already passed, I asked, all right, I can go with you if you want emotional support, but I won't always be able to go with you to every doctor's appointment. Do you want to go do this doctor's appointment? I'm talking from front door of house back to front door of house. I will not be there. I'll be a phone call away if something pops up, but this is just all right, take a deep breath. Let me listen to your lungs. Let me run my thumb down your spine to make sure it's still straight. It was just the standard.
Right. Nothing serious.
Nothing serious, nothing new, nothing that we haven't already experienced before. If something pops up, I'll be a phone call away and 10 minutes out. But she went all by herself and everything was fine. And she came back. I was like, how was that? She goes, I expected it to be weirder, but it wasn't. No one looked at me like I didn't belong. I was like, oh, is that a fear of yours? That you would feel like everyone thought you didn't belong there? Interesting.
Let's unpack that. Unskippable cutscene.
Yeah, but she thought she was scot-free because she did exactly what was asked of her. She made the appointment, she went to the appointment, she completed the appointment, she came home. She accessed her My Chart. She figured out that everything was exactly as we expected it to be, which was to say textbook.
Yeah. Yeah, we have
everything was fine. I was like, all right, now unskippable cutscene apparently. Because we're still going to unpack this. You thought you would be perceived as not belonging. So
yeah. And it's because even at 18, like you're still a teenager, your brain is still developing, and we said
still
being
waiting
in your
for an adultier adult.
Being in your 20s is hard. Being in your teens is harder. Being a teenager is way hard, especially like those couple years. Man. It's so unfair. And I will tell you that when you describe having a much older child than my oldest, I mean, not much older, but at that age, it is.
Well,
right?
No, there's massive 18 years. A lot of things change.
That's
a lot of, and so from one year to the next, we're talking gargantuan leaps of independence and self-awareness.
Our friendship would not have worked 15 years ago.
No,
because that age gap is too significant. But when you're both full adults, it's a little different in a friendship because it doesn't come up. But so your child is old enough above my child that while you describe these things, it is blowing my mind. And I'm going to have a fun rumination about this later. I'll tell you what, of how different that must be. Because again, we base our kind of thought processes and our experiences based on what we've been through, right? And like, even when we are trying to not project, there's still going to be some sort of like, we're influenced, not as much a projection, but an influence, right?
Yeah.
And I'm sitting here like, wow, this is such a hopeful thing for me as someone who had kids. It was like, man, I really hope I don't mess this up too badly because I have no frame of reference for what that must be like to have a healthy relationship with your mom at 18 and to have a mom who is like, hey, here's these ways I'm going to help you figure out how to navigate these things, because that has to be increasing a kid's confidence so much to be like, I did it. And now I'm going to go home and tell my mom that I did it. And that's what my kid is having. That's the experience. Cool. That's just cool.
For the billionth time, our job as parents is to parent ourselves out of a job.
Yes. And it's funny because we've made so many of the same choices in different ways, right? Mm-hmm. But to see your kiddo, who is just a few years ahead of mine, and go, I can see how it's working for my kid and the great relationship we have, but that it's like a crystal ball of like, things are just going to be okay. There is a way for things to just be okay. Steps, Okay, cool. Yeah.
Well, and then even then, because again, gentle parenting doesn't work. My kid has always had a curfew. And in my head, I fully expected, because most of my upbringing was through bad 90s sitcoms and made for TV dramas.
Yeah.
Okay. That was most of my emotional upbringing. I learned that all men hurt you and leave you and sometimes become physically violent.
Trauma dump.
Because that's what Angel and Spike did on Buffy. Obviously, that's
I learned
normal.
that a different way.
Go ahead, hit the button for yourself now.
Trauma dump.
So
where were we?
Because I was raised entirely on sitcom. I have parented with sitcoms, and they're in How I Met Your Mother. There's an idea. Nothing good happens after midnight.
Absolutely.
So I set her this curfew, and because of my sitcom education, I fully expected that she was going to bucket and never come home. And I was like prepared to be sitting in my armchair. Where were you? That never effing happened.
Yeah.
That never happened because we had a mutually respectful relationship. And I had sat her down and how I met your mother at her and be like, listen, nothing good happens after midnight. Let me tell you why. It's not just imaginary. It's the dark is a factor. The behaviors begin to leak out where people who have made not great choices to drink and drive, they're probably doing it after midnight when the bar kicked him out for being too drunk.
And you are not going to be in your clearest thinking state when you are way
because
overtired.
You are tired. Right.
Yeah.
So like there's all these reasons that nothing good happens after midnight. So I have made your curfew this, and never once has she, because I also opened the door. But if you realize it's about 9:30 and you are nowhere close to being able to extricate yourself, either you can vilify me and said, my mom says I have to go. She's such a raging bitch.
Yeah.
And then come home and thanks for getting me out of that. No problem. We'll happily be the villain in someone else's story for you.
Right.
Happy to
I
do
think
that.
that's such a fun part of parenting is to just like make sure your kids know I will always be the bad guy if you need me to be.
Oh yeah.
If you need to use me as an
you want me to
excuse or
ruin an
anything.
experience, I can Godzilla in here and just ruin everybody's day so you get out of it. I'm cool with it.
Yeah, I'm fine with
I
it.
protect you.
Right.
But no, she's always called me. She still to this day will call me, "Hey mom, can I buy this thing?" And I'm thinking in my head, I don't care.
Right.
But I don't let on. But tell me the pros and cons. Should you buy this thing? I don't care.
Yeah.
I literally do not care if she buys it. I just want to make sure that she is still practicing all those same, what's the pro of buying it? What's the con of buying it? You ask me because you could not immediately decide, which means you have some reservations, which is fine.
That's normal. Yeah. That means you're
that's
being
perfectly normal.
You're being responsible and considerate with your money.
But she's just taken it because along with the rules come the explanation. I gave her all the reasons I'm making this choice, which means she fully understands. The reason I've said 10 is because nothing good happens after midnight. And the closer you get to midnight, the more nothing good begins to leak.
Yeah.
So might as well get home by 10, unless, when she does certain stuff at the school, that goes past 10. We're not talking a curfew issue. That's just when the event wraps, give me a text that you're on your way home. So now I know
There's
when
a
to
difference
expect you.
between being at a specific event or doing a certain activity and just being out for the sake of being out.
Yeah.
There's a difference. Yeah.
And we have discussed the curfew. I think we discussed it last week. So this might be old information for our regular listeners. But the other thing that happens is she has learned about my tells. Okay. So we both have age gap kids.
Yes.
My gap is 11 years, right?
Yeah.
I did not know that I had a consideration face when Abby has brought to me something that bumps against a boundary. And I have to stop and consider, is it time to move this boundary? Is this the moment I'm going to go ahead and say, your curfew is now 11. We're going to move that boundary up because it is time. You have given me enough to consider that we're going to not just make an exception this one time, but we're fully going to adjust. I have a consideration face, apparently, because my youngest asked if she could wear jewelry to school. And thus far, she's entering first grade. I have not allowed jewelry because
it can be a
my little
distraction
fidgeter.
too. Yeah.
It can be a distraction. Well, this year I got her these gumdrop necklaces. They're not actually gumdrops. They're just the big chunky beads. I got her the gumdrop necklaces and she's like, Mom, can I wear those to school? And apparently I started making the consideration face and she opens her mouth to start arguing her case. And Abby reaches over and again, sitcom upbringing, claps a hand over this child's face. She goes, she's making the thinking face. She's considering it. Don't say words. Because she's on the verge. And if you say words, you could push her over into the edge that she thinks maybe you're not ready for this. If you want the necklaces, keep your mouth shut because she's making the thinking face.
She really said, let mom cook.
Anyway, we're on a trial basis. We're on a one strike out rule.
Yeah.
The first time I get a call or the first time you come home without your jewelry.
Yeah.
Or I get a call from your teacher that says it was a distraction. No more jewelry.
Right.
Where this isn't we try multiple times. It's we're going to experiment. And if it does not work, we accept that we are not ready to wear
And we
necklaces
revisit
to school
it
yet.
later.
We
Yeah.
revisit it.
It
in
doesn't mean
second grade.
never. It doesn't mean never. It means not yet. Sometimes we have to figure out if the time is right. Yeah, that's, I don't have a consideration face as much. I don't know. My kid told me that, some people have like a resting bitch face. My kid told me that I always look concerned and a little confused. And I was like, honestly, that's typically how I feel. She really read me there. But my age gap situation, I was like, how dare you tell the truth to your siblings? Because I stole this thing because it's a lie. It's a lie that I told my eldest that was told to me as a child because it is harmless. Everyone has a preference on bananas, on the ripeness of the banana. Well,
I need mine almost not ripe.
Yeah. See, I like mine to be the perfect yellow, maybe a little bit of the brown spots. I don't want it mushy. But if there is
single brown spot, I'm done with the banana. Well, it's dead to me.
If it's a mushy banana, like no one wants to eat that. But if it is a fine banana, right? Like we're talking, we have a firm banana.
Fine banana.
We have a firm, fine banana. And you open it and there's like a little bruise because it's a banana. That's what they do.
Yeah.
So when I was a kid, my dad would tell me, that's the brown sugar spots. That just means it's extra sweet. You don't need to worry about that. And it worked. I was like, ooh, sugar, And so I did the same thing.
The more ripe a banana, the sweeter it does get.
Exactly. So it really worked. And so when my eldest was little, I said the same thing. And guess what? It worked. Okay. Now, fast forward just a year or two ago, I said something about, I was like, no, these bananas are fine. And then my eldest goes, Mom's going to lie to you and say it's brown sugar. And it isn't. I said, why would you rat on me?
I don't know how she figured it out, but when I was little, I used to hate those little diced onions they would put on the burgers, especially at McDonald's.
Yeah.
And so my dad lied to me and I bought it. And honestly, it was one of those, again, harmless lies. He goes, oh no, we can't take those off because this is in the 80s and 90s. They didn't custom make anything for you in the 80s and 90s.
Yeah.
Burger King had Have It Your Way for their logo for a long time because no one else would custom make anything.
Right.
So if you ordered a McDonald's Happy Meal and you got a hamburger or a cheeseburger, you were going to have the little diced onions on it. I hated them. I would get myself so worked up about these. I would do the kid gagging thing because I was so anxious about them. My dad finally said, oh, they can't take them off or it won't taste like anything. It will just be like chewing texture because that's the flavor buds.
That actually sounds really nice. I want to chew texture. Sorry, continue.
If we take the flavor buds off, it won't taste like a hamburger anymore. Magically, not an issue with onions anymore.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I tried it on my kid and because she also did not like onions and it just came with it. I was like, oh, those are flavor buds. That's what makes the hamburger taste like it. So she takes a bite of the hamburger. Nope, still tastes like a hamburger.
Yeah.
Okay.
Parenting.
Two different kids. Anyway, we can order the burger without the onions, so it's not that big a deal anymore.
Yeah. Yeah.
Nope, still tastes like a hamburger. Listen here, you little shit.
I make this American goulash with the like little diced peppers, and I dice them up real small so that my kids will get some of them, not in a hidden way, but just like they don't like it. It's an offensive texture to have the bigger pepper for them.
We have to call them fajita peppers because if we call them bell peppers, no. Fajita peppers, fine. I don't know why. I just roll with it.
You just go with it. Yeah, yeah. And my littlest was like, I don't like these. I don't like these at all. And I'm like, you've definitely been eating them this whole time, but also like you can just pick them out. And she's like, no, because then I'll still take. And I'm like, I will help you pick them out, but I'm not going to make something else for this time because you love this meal. You just decided right now, 30 seconds ago, that you don't like the peppers. Like, we can pick it out. And so then we had a lesson in learning how to pick out the part of food we don't like because apparently she had never encountered that before. Like she really thought you couldn't pick it out. She's like, no, you can't do that. No, you can. Here's a napkin.
And that's our timer. It's just on picking out peppers. That's how we end the episode.
Peppers and onions. All right.
From an episode on independence. Okay. You can independently pick those bitches out. Go on.
Yeah. Now that I've taught you how to do it. Thank you so much for listening to this episode of Childproof and for your support of all of the podcasts on the Pleasant Phantom Productions Network.
Be sure that you are subscribed and have notifications turned on, not just to Childproof, but also Founded and Bibliophage for your history and book loving needs. We're so happy to be working on these three. They've been so much fun, and we have so much more in the pipeline for you guys. We can't tell you more, but it'll be fun.
We're very excited. And be sure to leave a rating, a review, comment on all the podcasts. It really does help. And we really do love reading the reviews.
Listen to the other two.
Yeah. Just like if you're not listening and you're going to leave a review, like, please don't be mean. I'm always afraid of getting bullied on the internet because I get bullied on the internet.
We do want to hear from you, not with the bullying, though. Please don't do that.
Please don't bully us.
But please send non-bullying emails to childproofmail@gmail.com. And remember, sometimes our kids are the assholes.
And sometimes it's us. And sometimes it's those
Brown
onions
sugar
and
banana
peppers.
spots.
Yeah.